Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to play Secret Hitler. I'm going to show you some of the basics and maybe explain a few advanced strategies that you could possibly employ throughout playing Secret Hitler. Now, this game has definitely gained some popularity recently as it's been streamed by a lot of people over on Twitch. Most notably, I'd say, would be Total Biscuit. That's how I heard about this game. I've known about Tabletop Simulator for some time, but this is actually a mod for Tabletop Simulator, so there's sales going on right now for Tabletop Simulator, so this has really taken off in popularity, so you can pretty much always find a good table of people to play with. So if you're concerned about that, you know, the game's pretty cheap. I picked it up for $8 on G2A a little while ago, but any time of day now I can go on here and I'm seeing 6 to 7 Secret Hitler games going on in multiple regions with multiple languages, and pretty much everyone has microphones and they're pretty much good people, not really too many dicks. So just want to get that out of there, explain that to you guys ahead of time, but hopefully I can now explain some of the basics of how to play Secret Hitler. So let's get into it. Yes. Okay, so in Secret Hitler, most of the time you're probably going to be playing in an 8-player configuration. You can play with 5 or 6, or you could play with 10 players, and there are different boxes like this that will have different player counts on them, so you can play with different amounts of players if you want, but most of these servers that you will find on Tabletop Simulator in the server browser will be for 8-player tables, so that's going to be the configuration that I'm going to be explaining to you here. So the goal of this game is, if you are a fascist or if you are Hitler, is to get to the end of the game with Hitler alive and hopefully with 5 cards on the fascist board, or sorry, 6 cards on the fascist board, completing your entire board so that the fascist would win. Adversely, the liberals are trying to succeed for their side. There will be more liberals at the table in any given game. There will be 2 fascists at the table along with 1 Hitler. In an 8-player configuration, this will be what you'll see. So there are going to be 2 fascists, 1 Hitler, which means you have 5 liberals at the table. So at the start of the game, the liberals do have the majority, and it's their objective to figure out who Hitler and the fascists are, and if possible at any point to even kill Hitler, if it does come up throughout the course of the votes that they do have that option. They could end the game right then and there if they do kill Hitler. Another way that you could win the game is if you are Hitler yourself, and after 3 cards have been successfully played for the fascists on the table, and the Hitler is then elected as Chancellor, then he will automatically win the game for the fascists, and I'm going to show you how that all plays out here in just a little bit. So at the start of all players will take their packet of cards out of the box, like I am doing right here, just by clicking and dragging the packet out of the box. There will be 4 cards inside of the packet, which you can then slide right into your hand, which none of the other players at the table will be able to see. As long as they are in your hand right here, they are completely hidden, and you can take your pack and then put it off to the side once you are done with it. Once you have your cards in your hand, you can go ahead and flip them over and check your party alliances. You also have 2 ballot cards. These are for voting on different ballots that are going to come up for the presidents and chancellors, so you're going to be using those quite a bit. The fascist, your fascist cards or your party cards and your secret roll are going to stay hidden, though, for the duration of the game. So once all players have received their cards at the table, each player will then go ahead and they will take their secret roll card and they will place it out in front of them. The reason for the secret roll card is that one of these at the table will say Hitler, and it will be in one of the fascist packs. So in one of the fascist packs at the table, they will receive a fascist party membership as well as a secret roll that says Hitler. Everyone else at the table, secret roll will just match exactly what's on their party membership card, so you won't have to worry about them. There's only going to be 1 secret roll card that we're going to actually have to worry about, and that will be whoever Hitler is at the table. But at this point in time, all players would take their secret roll cards and then place them down in front of them, face down on the table like I am doing right here. At this point, whoever was hosting the table or directing everyone at the table would instruct everyone to go ahead and put on their blindfolds, at which point everyone would do that by pressing B. And when they do that, it would be indicated on the top right of the screen with a little eye with a line through it, which you're not going to see right here. So if we were to pretend at this time that all the players at the table were blindfolded, I would now direct all of the fascists at the table who are not Hitler to turn their blindfolds off. So then all of the fascists at the table who are not Hitler would take their blindfolds off, and they would then be instructed to turn over all of the secret roll cards on the table. So then they would turn over every single secret roll card in front of all of the players on the table. And the reason that they are doing this is so that they can identify the other fascist and Hitler at the table. Once these players are done identifying who the fascist and Hitler are, they will turn the cards back over and ping the table by pressing tab, and they will put their blindfolds back on. The purpose of pinging the table is to let the host or the person directing all of the players to know that they are done looking at the cards and they are now face down back on the table and they have blindfolded themselves once again. At this point in time, the host of the table will direct everyone to go ahead and remove their blindfolds and take their secret roll cards back into their hands, as the game will now really begin. Now, if it is the first game of a given table, you will just go ahead and take the die and you will roll the die by pressing R. You will just hover over it, press R, roll the die to figure out who's going to go first. So right here it would have been yellow, so whoever was yellow up here would go first at the table. So in this case he would go first, which means he would be president, so whoever was yellow would get the presidency, and then they would pick their chancellor. So they have these two placards here. It's then up to them to go ahead and pick their chancellor. If we were to assume that this president were to go ahead and choose me to be their chancellor, at this time everyone at the table would go ahead and vote on this. So based at this time, you really don't have a whole lot of information on anything. You don't have any information. No votes have happened. You don't know anything about anyone at the table. So usually on the first vote, pretty much everyone is just going to vote yeah, unless you have some extreme strategy because you want people to know you're a fascist or something by voting 9. That's up to you, but for the most part, it's yeah pretty much on the first time all the way around. So you go ahead and put your ballot card out face down, and once all the cards are out on the table, the ballot cards, everyone will turn them face up. If the vote passes with the yeah, then the chancellor and president will begin their term as president and chancellor for the table. At this time, the president can go ahead and draw 3 policy cards out of the deck, which he will go ahead and do. And since we don't have our president here, I will pretend to be president for the time being. The president would then flip over the 3 policy cards that he drew out of the deck. Now, if I were president here as a fascist, obviously it would be my goal to get a fascist card onto the board, or adversely, I could want to convince everyone at the table that I am a liberal. So the goal here is I have to discard one of these and then give 2 to my chancellor to make a choice. Now, if I just wanted to go and give him a choice and maybe find out what his allegiances are, I could give him the fascist and the liberal, so I could find out what he's all about, or I could just give him the 2 liberals if I wanted him to think for sure that I'm a liberal and tell him I discarded a fascist, or I could give him the liberal and the fascist and hope that he is a fascist as well, playing the fascist, or actually I would be a fascist. So this is kind of where it gets confusing, and this is where all of the strategy starts to come into play, you see. So if I was the president here, and if this is the president over here, and he's a liberal, chances are he's just going to go ahead and give me these 2 liberal policies, unless he wants to test me. If he wants to test me, then he can go ahead and give me 1 of each if he wants to test me. At this point, his discard would then go into the discard pile right over here, and then I would have to choose which one of these 2 policies to enact, and that's obviously going to tell the table a lot about me as I'm making a choice here. As we're going afterwards, the president and I are going to have a chance to tell the table what cards we drew, and at that point we could lie. They could choose to believe us or not. If the president was a fascist and I know that ahead of time, obviously he could say that he drew 3 fascists and he didn't have a choice in the matter. So we put a fascist card on the table. I put a fascist card out on the table here because I know he's a fascist, and then I go ahead and discard the liberal. And then maybe the president lies and he says, oh yeah, I drew 3 fascists. We didn't have a choice in the matter, so that's why the fascist card's on the table. It's not because we had a choice. So now we're lying about this. The table doesn't really know about that. They have to choose whether or not they trust us. That's just one way that you could go there. There are many different strategies throughout the voting process, and that's basically how it goes. After that initial vote would be over, the presidency would then go to the left. You would know your previously elected officials here by the previously elected ones here. That would have been kind of like a power play because it was going back to back there. Basically, the presidency would then go to the next player over, and then he would choose his chancellor, and everyone at the table would vote on it, and so on and so forth. And that is how every single round goes throughout the entire length of the game. Nothing really changes throughout the course. Obviously, it gets a bit more intense as things go on because you start to learn more things about more people. Distrust starts to, build, and maybe some trust does start to build with other parties at the table. So that's where it really does pick up and get super interesting. It gets really interesting as things start to get towards the end and the board is filling up and you're really trying to figure out who is who. And also, as I did mention earlier on, once the fascists have 3 cards on the table, if they get the chancellorship, not the presidency, mind you, but the chancellorship to Hitler. So if the chancellorship went to Hitler and he was elected into office, fully, like everyone yawed him into office, he would then win the game for the fascists. Because as soon as 3 cards are on the table, you have to go to everyone that is elected chancellor and ask them if they're Hitler, and they have to tell you the truth. If they're not Hitler, you would then give them a not Hitler card. So it's a lot of information. I hope that I explained it well enough for you. If you missed anything, obviously go back, watch again, but I hope that you guys got as much information that you could. I tried to tell you everything that I could. If I missed anything, if you don't know anything, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to answer you guys the best of my abilities. But thank you guys for watching, and please enjoy Secret Hitler on Tabletop Simulator, and I will catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.